Hello, welcome to episode 36 of the Empowered Hearts podcast. Krystle and I were just chatting, and I was like, wait, we need to record this because we're not the only people going through this, and other people need to hear it.
Yeah.
So, who else is not sleeping? Me.
Me.
Let's talk about it.
Okay. You go first.
Well, I'm waking up at really random times. I'm just trying to see if I took a screenshot of it the other day because it was so wild. Um, It was 5:55 a.m.
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, okay, like that's fun. I don't seem to have it. Who knows what's going on? But this is a regular occurrence for the both of us.
Yeah.
And
It's been happening now for like probably a week. Last night it was 1:11, which is the earliest, I guess this morning. And I can do like 3:33, 4:44. 5:55 is a sleep in for me.
not me.
So 1:11 is a little ridiculous.
Well, I woke up the other night, maybe it was last night. I don't know, at like 12:30, and I was like, I felt like it was time to wake up. I'm like, oh, okay, it must be like 5:30. And I looked and I'm like 12:25. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, for God's sake. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'm taking every natural supplement you can on this God's green earth you can think of. And like, I'm really hesitant to take sleeping pills due to my background, but I did go to the doctor and get them, but I haven't taken them. And that's full transparency, but I have them for like, if this continues.
I haven't tried anything. But last night I was like, okay, you got no sleep the night before, so you're gonna sleep so good. Like I was watching a show and I couldn't keep my eyes open. I was like, perfect. If I'll just stay up for like one more hour to the point where I'm like so delirious, and then I'm gonna fall asleep and sleep right through. No, at 1:11.
So were you awake at 1:11?
It was like I slept 9 hours.
That's exactly what it felt like at 12:30. I'm like, oh, it's like time to wake up. And I'm like, what?
And the problem, because I've done this before, if I stay up, I feel really good for a couple hours and
Yeah.
then I get so exhausted at like 8 in the morning, and then you feel like that all day. So I'm like, you are going back to sleep. And I tossed and turned for like 2 hours.
So my therapist, I have to see a psychologist due to my hell that I experienced earlier this year on the eclipse, being harassed. And so I have to see a psychologist because he's like helping me through this stuff. And he's like, okay, well, there's something called you like do a sleep. This might not be the name of it, but it's like sleep deprivation. So you have
Yeah.
to look at how many hours you're sleeping in bed,
Okay. Yeah.
not how many hours you're tossing and turning, how many hours you're actually sleeping. So you have to like record it. So let's say 4 hours.
Yeah.
You have to only be in and out of bed in 4 hours. Like in it, what it does is it like builds your sleep. Oh, what's the name of it? Your sleep drive up. So if you're tossing and turning and you're in there for 8 hours, but you're only sleeping for 4, you're allowed
Okay.
to go to bed at 1 and you have to get out of bed at 5. And then you do that for like a week, like no reading in bed, no hanging out. Like that's my favorite place to be.
Okay, just a second. So I'm supposed to stay up till 1?
Yeah,
There is no way in hell.
I know, but there is though, if you,
Drink caffeine.
well, okay, then whatever hour you fall asleep, and if you're
Yeah.
awake, that's like get up at
If
1,
you
like
wake up, get up.
get up. And
Okay,
like
I'll try it, Morgan.
and if
I'll
if
try
you're
it.
feeling sleepy, okay, so if at 1:11 you're waking up,
Mm-hmm.
it's like you can't be angry. That's the
Okay. I'm just excited that I'm up at 1:11.
yeah, you have to be like, I accept what's going on and like go and do something to distract your mind. So like
Okay.
turn the lights on, read a book,
Okay. Okay.
you can vacuum the house.
Stay up all day.
Well, okay, but if you're tired
Dude,
again,
that's like 2 days worth of daytime.
but if
Like,
you're tired again at like 4 a.m., go back to bed.
okay. All right, I'll do it tonight.
Try it.
Watch me sleep right through. Dear God, please let me sleep right through.
And like the thing is, like with sleep, I've realized with like lack of sleep, you can't put pressure on sleeping because the more
Yeah,
pressure you put on, it's like forget it.
the less you get.
You're like, okay, I'm going to bed now, yay! And you're like, your mind is
That,
just like going.
that's what happened to me last night. No, I had no problems falling asleep.
Mhm.
And it's like I have no issues falling asleep. My issue is the waking up at the witching hour.
Like literally.
Yeah. And then I'm just like, oh, I'm awake. It's like I feel rested.
I know. I felt rested too, and I was like, just try, just lay here and see what happens.
Yeah.
That's why I stayed in bed so late today because I was up doing random things all night, like walking
Cooking.
around. Huh?
Cooking.
Yeah, cooking. Like there is a theory behind, I mean, this doesn't normally apply to you, but there is a theory behind why people wake up in the middle of the night. And it's spiritual, of course.
No way.
Kind of. But like
Okay.
so back in the day, like whatever year, I don't know what this would have been, but when we had to be on watch, the people that like I'm a night owl by like it's natural to me, and it's probably because either in a past life or through my bloodline, our job was we were a night watch. So we would sleep during the day and be up at night
Right.
watching. And that feels like if I could sleep all day long, like I love a good day sleep. Like I have a good, like I like knock out.
You're like on the opposite schedule.
I know.
I've always been a morning person. Like literally. I can get up so early and be energized, and then the evening I'm just like out. But
Mhm.
like it's not even like I have my days and nights backwards. It's like the hours don't make sense.
Yeah.
Like go to bed at 7:30 and be up at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
You know?
I hear you.
I know I keep burping too. Solar plexus.
Sorry, guys, we're burping. We're releasing stuff from our solar plexus, and we've just had a lot of buildup there. So, pardon for the burping. Anyways, so we wanted to talk about something really important today. It's a really important topic. It's shadow and parts work and why it is important to integrate your trauma and not just always be love and light and God. And it is really important to, yes, have like, I mean, I say the word God, and I know that that's very triggering for many people, so I can use a completely different word, but we'll use the creator or life, whatever. It doesn't matter. But if we're always like looking at love and light, so let's say you have a spiritual awakening and you're like, or you don't even realize you're having a spiritual awakening. And there is, you just know that you've got bad habits in your life, you have shitty relationships, you're anxious, you're depressed, whatever the case may be, and you're like, I gotta deal with this. And you deal with it, right? And then now you have awoken, that's a word, to the fact that like there is more in this life, there is a larger purpose, whatever. And then you go on your merry way and just stay like that forever. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. So I work with trauma and parts work, and how it works is like if you can think about would be a good example. Like a sifter. It's like, is that a good example? Like
Yep.
as we go along the path of life, we have to sift through rocks, and different things are going to trigger different things. And it's like there's not like a one and done healing for the rest of your life from one scenario. It's like we clear a block.
Yep.
And then we move on, and then we clear a block and we move on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And
Yep.
if the trouble is, if you don't go back to your parts work, to your trauma, to your shadow work, and we'll go into what these things are in a minute, then you end up bypassing, and you can end up, creating more trauma in your life by being like, oh my God, everything's like love and light and God, and like everything's amazing. And like, I pray to God, I pray to Creator and all the things. It's like, yes, but what is going on in your life? Are you treating people properly? Are you being kind to yourself? What does your self-love practice look like? Like we have to stay on top of these things. It has to be a conscious effort. It's not a one and done. You've done some sessions of hypnosis or parts work, and now you're healed for the rest of your life.
No.
It's like we have to look at, okay, I got in a fight with somebody and I treated them shitty. Whoa, like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
Whoa, because there's a part of me that doesn't feel adequate or whatever. And we have to, things come up.
Or we can say the reverse situation is somebody, did something to you and it made you feel a certain way. Why did it make you feel that way?
Yep.
It's like, so to heal the past, we do it in the present.
Yes.
We can walk back and relive the feelings and the emotions of the past. Like that is another piece, like regression work. And if it is still active or unhealed in your energy, the same theme around that past event, person, relationship, whatever, will surface now. And when it surfaces, this is when it's giving you an opportunity to see the shadow and bring it to light. And it's like, okay, why is this rage surfacing? Somebody cuts me off in traffic and now I'm like, I am like raging in my vehicle. It's like everything is connected.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like, let's say if you did some trauma healing around your marriage, but then now you're raging on the road, like those things, it's like, it's wonderful that you did trauma work around your marriage. That was necessary. But like now the rage is separate. It could be connected, but like, it's not like I said, it's not like one and done. So that's really important. And I think there's a lot of people in this world that like, are like, well, I've done my shadow work. It's like, no, it is a forever game that
you'll never be done.
No, you have to stay on top of it. You have to be self-aware and mindful of like, oh, like I can be kind of a dick sometimes. What is that from? Or like,
yeah, I was just going to say quickly while you're talking about this, it's really easy to project our pain on other people and say it's their fault. And okay, like this is a really shaky bridge, okay? Because we're not responsible for other people and how they act in their actions, but they are mirroring to us something within us that is unhealed. So there is a sense of responsibility in the way that we feel in the situation. It's not like, oh, it's their fault, they made me feel mad. Like, why do you feel mad about the situation? Is it because you feel betrayed? Is it because you feel like disrespected? Like, what is the root core of the emotion behind what is taking place that brings the power back into your body?
Yeah. And I think there's a really important piece to this as well, because people might say, well, that person treated me poorly. Well, he did that, or she did that, or they did that, or whatever. And it's a fine line between, yes, that person did that. They are wrong for that, whatever. And then you have to be like, okay, they're wrong. Like that was disrespectful. Like, yes. And then there's two parts to this. What, like you said, what did it bring up in you?
Yeah.
And then why are you engaging in that relationship?
Yeah.
Because we're like, well, like you said, like we project blame, like, oh my God, well, he did this to me, like he's wrong. Oh, yes, he is wrong or whatever. And then, but like, why are you engaging in that? And like, that is another piece of like, we got to work on that. Why people think it's okay to be disrespected in their life. Like that's a whole other, I mean, I could get into it for hours.
I mean, we should write a book, The 99 Steps to Healing a Shadow.
Yeah,
Because it's so layered.
it
There's
is
so
so
many
layered.
layers. There's so many layers, right? There's so many different angles and aspects to take when something surfaces. Because I mean, there's like the suppressed trauma, there's the stored emotion, there's the like avoidant energy, like there's the projection.
Well, we could write a book, Krystle. I mean, we could write,
We
I'm
should.
literally going to write that down.
We should write a book about this.
Okay, well, why don't we do that?
Let's do it.
It's done. 99 parts to healing shadows. Now, I don't know if it's 99, but whatever.
It feels that way, though. That's why I picked 99. Also,
What?
9 is the number of release.
Huh.
Endings.
It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually funny. I've actually written, I've written this already. I wrote a workbook for people, and I have not released it, which I need to do, on how to heal the inner child. There's like 50 questions that you need to ask yourself, which then lead to like a fuck ton of other things, but like they're instigators on how to heal your inner child. We should put that in the book.
You actually asked me that yesterday, and I forgot to answer it. I have done a lot of inner child healing work.
Okay.
Yes. Like years. Like I started back when Caden was 1.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I went to this energy session that I was just gifted before we flew to Cabo to get married, and she was the one that introduced me to it.
Huh.
And it was fascinating.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I love it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is my purpose on this planet, is to help people. I mean, it's one of the I've got 2 purposes. One of them is to hand people karma, and it's not something I enjoy. I can share if you guys want to hear about that, but and the other purpose is to help people heal from trauma. And I understand it so deeply. Like, it's just like second nature to me. I can be like, let's heal trauma at lunch. I'm like, okay, I'm like excited.
Here we go.
So let's talk about let's get into like, what is shadow work?
Let's start with what is a shadow.
Okay, what is a shadow?
Yeah.
What is a shadow? Okay, I would say a shadow is something that is going on in your life, in you, that is unconsciously running, maybe it's not running your life, but it's something that's unconsciously going on that's causing you problems in your life.
Yeah.
That's what I think. What do you think?
It's that's what I was thinking. I was just gonna say, it's like anything that is limiting or restricting you.
Yep. But I think it's unconscious.
Yeah, it is.
It is. So it's like,
Yeah.
I heard somebody say once, like, think about, it's the stuff that's underneath the bed, right? It's like, it's like under the rug. It's like the stuff that we have kind of like shut down, suppressed. It's emotions that we don't want to talk about. It's situations we don't want to talk about. It's feelings, those things. No, I don't want to talk about that. That makes me uncomfortable. Those are your shadows. And they're also your keys to free yourself from your pain.
Yep. And it's not easy.
No, it's not. I mean, we can talk about my 45-day of depression this year. I know, like, it's not easy.
So I was just going to say, an example of a shadow would be someone who plays the victim.
Oh, yes. Someone who plays the victim. Why is this always happening to me? Like, what is the victim? Because when we hear the word victim, we think it's something
helpless,
but,
like, yeah.
But it's actually more common than you think. It's actually like, I have to watch myself because I can play into it as well. I think we all can.
We can. Yeah.
You know, when we play the victim, it's like, why is this happening to me? Or like, why isn't life fair? Or it's just like it's like I'm helpless. Yeah.
So it kind of keeps you small.
Yeah, like you just have no power. You have way of fixing anything. You're just helpless
Yeah.
and measly, and like it's like you got to flip that.
And it's like doomsday
Yeah, this is me.
energy.
This is me before my period.
Everything's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, we sometimes need to play the victim.
Oh
You know
yeah.
what? It happens, but it's being able to recognize I'm playing the victim, snap out of it. Like
And
that's
sometimes we can just let ourselves hang out there because I'll tell you right away that it does not feel good and you don't want to be in that space. So you're like life is so, why does life have to feel so hard? I just want easy, whatever the story is. It's like, okay, sit in that energy for a little bit. It's like sometimes you have to experience a low to appreciate the high,
Mhm.
right? And so sit in it. What is it teaching you? What is it showing you right now? What did you forget about yourself that, for this moment, oh, actually, I don't have to sit in this and draw more energy towards it,
Right.
right? I can accept that I'm not feeling my best.
Mhm.
I mean, like, let's talk about your 45-day depression. That was intense.
That was really intense.
Like, that's
Okay.
a long time. That's a month and a half.
Yeah. It
Eh,
was.
Yeah.
So what happened was, so earlier this year, I experienced sexual harassment from the person I was working for. And I was really scared, to stand up for myself like that. Like, I feel like when you, and this was a shadow of mine. Let's talk about a shadow. Here's a real life example. So when I was working for this person and I thought I respected them, thought that that's what it was, but really, I don't know if that's what it was. Really, what I think what it was is it was a part of me that was looking for validation from somebody to be like, look how important I am. Look how good I am at helping you with your business. Like it got all tangled up. Like it started out as a job. It was always a job, but it got tangled up with our trauma
Mhm.
and just got all very messy. And so to then stand up for myself around that, I was like, oh my God, like I felt like I was gonna die.
Mhm.
And I realized later in the year, the reason I felt like I was gonna die is this person I worked for masked the same relationship I had with my mother, which like it was the same dynamic. It was a power dynamic. It was they didn't see me, I wasn't seen, I wasn't heard, I wasn't validated, I wasn't appreciated. And it like shook the wound up in me of codependency, of people pleasing, of needing somebody else's approval. And so it all came crashing down this year, right? I was forced to look at it all, and
Mhm.
it was like I could have played the victim, or I couldn't. And what happened is I just got extremely emotional and extremely sad out of nowhere. And I literally spent 45 days bawling my eyes out in
Mhm.
sheer grief. And it like I like was able, because I'm trained in shadow work, and like because this is what I do, I recognized what was going on. I was like, oh, this is linked to this is linked to this pattern, this. And I was doing hypnosis with myself and I'm like, this is linked to this, we got to heal this. And I couldn't control it. Like I was doing mirror work every day. I was literally bawling my eyes
Yeah.
out every day, like hyperventilating, holding myself in the mirror, being like, you are safe, and allowing this part of me, this child who had been, emotionally abused by her mother, to grieve in the present moment for the situation that happened this year. And also by her grieving that, she was also healing what happened to her. By being able to stand up to this person that did this to me this year, that was linked to healing, to me standing up to my mom. And
Yeah.
it's beautiful. Like
It is.
it really is beautiful. I like thought I literally was like, I don't think I'm gonna make it through this year. Like every day. I would wake up and like I was just overcome with sadness from morning to night. Like I couldn't, like it was like no showering. I couldn't eat. I couldn't walk the dog. Like it was a struggle. I couldn't go to the gym. Like it was a real hard depression. But depression in society is looked at something negative. Depression is asking you,
The alchemy.
yes, it's it's like it's asking you to look at something. I actually don't think depression's bad. We think,
I
oh,
don't either.
heal depression. You're not supposed to heal depression.
No.
You're supposed to move through it. Like why?
Or mask the symptoms of
Right,
depression. Yeah, which is avoidance.
exactly. It's like, what is the depression bringing up for you? Okay, I feel inadequate. I feel unsafe. Like that was my thing. I didn't feel safe.
Yeah.
Why? Because
Yeah.
the current situation did not call for this to be this extreme. I'm like, this is not, this is linked to something deeper. And thankfully I understood what was going on and I'm through it. And like I feel like I've literally been able to reclaim a lot of my life. It was amazing.
I walked through that. Um, I cannot share the specifics of the situation,
Yeah.
but I would wake up every day and I felt like I was trying to dig myself out of a pit.
Hmm.
It was like quicksand.
Yes.
I would fight to find the light. It was like I was fighting it every single day. And I was like dragging my feet. And I was just so clouded. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't even be present because I was so wrapped up in the situation of the hurt and the trauma and the betrayal, and like all these emotions were just like overcoming.
Hmm.
And until I faced it head on and said like I need to forgive this,
Yes.
I need to, take my power back, because
Yeah.
I was literally flowing all my energy to what had happened instead of understanding that it was a point of healing,
Yeah.
and I would wake up every day and my body would just be like, boom, anxiety, let's ramp it up to 1,000. It was so crippling. I
Yeah.
was drinking wine to numb it, like just to feel nothing. I
Yeah.
just didn't want to feel anything.
Yeah.
And I know that there's so many people in this world that feel that. And that's why we do what we do,
Yeah.
because we've walked through it.
Yeah.
We know how to move through it. We know how to actually heal the root of it.
Hmm. Yeah. It's what you said there is really important about forgiveness. And it's like we hear this like saying, and everyone wants to roll their eyes at it, including me. It's like we gotta forgive, not for you, not for them, but for you. And you're like, okay, but it's true. And it like the answer to healing all things is acceptance. And I say this, but
Mm-hmm.
I'll explain why. Acceptance slash forgiveness.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we cannot forgive, and that's okay. Like I think that we will attempt to forgive, but we sometimes cannot. Like if we were abused by a parent, it could be sexual abuse by a
Yeah.
parent. It's like to get a person to forgive that
Yeah.
is almost invalidating what they experienced.
Yeah.
And so I don't, well, this is making me emotional. I don't ask people to forgive at that point. I just ask for acceptance and then being able to look at whatever the situation is, um, as like, well, what did the abuser experience? Right? Like, why it must have been so bad for them that they did this to you. And that changes the way like people can think about things. So yes, acceptance and forgiveness. Forgiveness is like the ultimate cure for trauma and for pain and all of the things. But if you can't get to forgiveness, acceptance is really important.
Yeah, forgiveness it's a really hard one, because it doesn't mean that you're neutralizing the situation and saying that it's okay.
No, that's
because
different.
that's not what it is.
No,
It's not like, oh, I forgive you for all the wrongs that you have caused and hurt me.
no,
That's not what it is.
no.
Because if you have to try to understand what happened on the other side, like that's almost impossible
Yeah.
when you have suffered trauma in that way. In the situation that I was in, I had to forgive myself for allowing that situation to take control over my power in my life. That situation was leeching all the love, the joy, the happiness, everything that I could have been experiencing because I was so wrapped up in it.
Yeah.
And yeah, like it's that is a really, really, really hard one.
Yeah. But in that scenario, what you did is like, I can hear it. I can hear what you're saying is that you accepted what had happened and then you forgave yourself for whatever.
Yeah,
And
because sometimes we blame ourselves for
yeah,
things too,
100%. And it's like, we cannot change what happens, but we can change how we give our power to it. And
Yes.
that is where healing happens as well, is like taking our power back from something. Like, okay, this is what it is. It's really shitty that whatever happened, but like, now what? How it's
Yeah,
like,
like
see, so I'm being able to see the opportunity in everything rather than being, like you said, the victim, like being like, well, oh my God, this is so terrible. Yes, it is terrible.
yeah, it
Can we
is.
see the opportunity of like that I'm choosing to take my power back and that's amazing. And because of that, I can handle anything. Or are you going to sit there and be a victim the whole time? Because like either or is an option.
It's true. And how do you want to feel about it? And it's kind of challenging because it's not an avoidant situation where you choose to just not like that's why this is like really complicated kind of, because it's not like you're just, oh, I'm just not going to think about it.
No.
Oh, I'm just not going to get my energy to it. You have to get to a space where when you do think of it, it doesn't activate you.
Yeah.
And that's
yes.
That's where the challenge comes in, because it's like if you can travel back to the situation and think about it and you don't have the same activation, I feel like it's neutralized.
Yes.
And sometimes it just takes to neutralize the activation of it to know that you've accepted it.
Yeah.
And you've integrated that shadow.
Yeah. And that's what integrating your shadow looks like, is literally not having a nervous system response. That's how you know if you've integrated something or not. It's like, if you're not like, oh my God, and feel anxious or worried or scared or whatever the reaction is.
Yeah.
If you are just like, yeah, that thing, like, and just like, it's never going to be wonderful, but you're just like, yep, that thing happened. And you just are not suppressing, but you're just able to not feel anything towards it. That is literally how you know you've integrated a shadow.
Like, I think a really good example, this is just what came to light, is if it had to do with a person and you ran into that person on the street, like, or you see them driving in their vehicle, how do you feel? Like, does anger surface?
Mm-hmm.
Have you given yourself the space to feel angry about it?
Yep. That's a really good point. You know what's so funny? I'm sitting at my desk here, and which I'm normally not at, but I have this sheet here of like a list of emotions, of like from the bottom to the, like from the pyramid of
Consciousness.
frequencies. What is it?
Yep. The cone of consciousness.
Yeah, the cone of consciousness. So yeah, at the very bottom, it says fear, grief, depression, despair, powerlessness. And actually anger is up the scale, but we often think anger is bad. Anger is up. When I have people that come to me, I'm like, I would rather you be angry than sad, because it means you're on your way to take your power back. And anger is a healthy emotion.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, in men, anger is not so much a healthy emotion, only because men mask all their other emotions with anger. So in men, it's a little different for the most part. But that's a whole other topic. But anyways, Yeah, anger is a good thing. You want to be angry, but you don't want to be angry forever because that will then it'll eat you alive. Anger to me, if I think about it, unintegrated anger, I see as a serpent. It will literally feed off of you. Like
Oh
it
my
will
God.
eat you
Ugh.
alive. I know, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Sorry. But if you don't
Hate
integrate it,
snakes.
sorry, so do I. It will feed off of you. So you want to allow yourself to be angry, but then you want to release the anger, right? And you want to continue to move up about like, you can be disappointed, like disappointment is higher up. Frustrated, annoyed, that's still higher up. And, neutral is a great place to be. I'm not saying you should be like joyous, like, oh, I love that this happened.
No,
Like,
I'm not sure that you'd reach that space.
no, but you could look at it like this. I feel joy about the fact that I feel neutral.
Yeah.
And that's a really good way to take your power back is like, I've done all the shadow work and I'm really proud of myself and I'm able to feel happy and there because I feel neutral.
I was just gonna, I really love that. That's really beautiful. That's just like a way to make a glimmer out of something, which I love. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Just wanted to touch on anger quickly. I had a friend ask me, she's like, can you just like open your channel and channel something? And I was like, yes, I freaking love doing this. Like if somebody asks me a question, it is like my favorite thing in the entire world. But
Okay.
so I opened my channel and my guides brought through the boiling point. And then they showed me like anger as being the boiling point because it's like you are alchemizing stillness that has laid dormant in your system. Okay.
Mm.
And now it's boiling up to the surface to be released. And so when we get that wave of anger, it's hot. Like
Mhm.
you get that heat in your
Yes.
body. You are literally alchemizing it in the presence. And so many people brush it away and feel like I can't be angry. Oh, I lashed out. I shouldn't do this. It's like give yourself the opportunity. Like if I'm angry and my kids are like, "Oh, like what's your problem?" and I'm just like, "Give me space to feel this. I need to feel this."
Yeah.
You know? And like and you can feel it in a healthy way.
Yeah.
I think it's so important.
It is.
We need to normalize it.
I mean, like you can go through anger. This is really a really cool one. You can go through anger in different ways. One way that I take people to deal with anger is you can actually scream in hypnosis, but like not vocally. You can scream in your head and still release it. It's so cool.
I
So you
did that this morning.
see, there
Mm-hmm.
you go. Yeah, like if you get people, if I like I've done it for myself. Like I can get myself into hypnosis in like 5 minutes. I can just like be right out and I'm upset about something or because I was doing parts work the other day with myself and I was so angry at my parents and I was like punching my dad in the face like subconsciously and I was just like get it out and I
Mm-hmm.
was screaming and I think I screamed for probably 5 minutes straight.
Yeah.
But not literally, but like releasing that and it like I think physically screaming is probably the ultimate, but like it really, really worked. I was like, I'm exhausted
Yeah.
and it feels good.
And you feel like you have space. And I usually find after anger comes tears.
Mhm. Well, because anger is really masking sadness,
Yeah, it is.
right?
Yeah.
Um, and and that's why like again, like a lot of men like never cry because
Yeah.
they're angry, but anger is masking sadness and like we have to get to the root and I think maybe anger with women is not so much. It's like we get anxiety and worry instead of sadness. We don't want to touch the sadness. Instead, we're anxious. And it's like, no, it's okay to feel sad.
Yeah.
It actually is, I don't know, like the amount of crying I've done this year, I'm kind of like, well, I kind of miss it. Like, I'm like, I'd like my weekly cry of like, it's so therapeutic. It
Mm-hmm.
releases, I believe dopamine. Don't quote me on this, but I believe when you cry, I know it releases hormones. What hormones they are, that I will not touch on because I don't know what I'm talking about, but it releases hormones and it allows you to alchemize your pain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I remember my mom, she's passed now, but she was a very angry person because she couldn't cry. So when her family died, she was very young, and at that moment, I remember her telling me, she's like, I made the decision that day that like, I am not giving into this. And she shut her emotions off and became
Mm.
like an alcoholic the day that her parents died. And and like that just festered over time into anger and resentment, like a serpent. It like it ends up eating you alive. So
Mhm.
that's ultimately what happened to her.
So
Oh,
sad.
it is. But on the other side, if you are feeling anger, like you can literally go scream into a pillow for 20 minutes, wear yourself out, get it out, get it out.
And you'll feel relief.
Yeah, you'll be exhausted.
Yep. You'll feel relief, and it's like you have so much more space in your body. Like you can feel that exhale energy where your body's just like, okay, I did it.
Maybe we should try this for sleeping. Like the anger release, like maybe it'll just like knock us out.
Okay. I'm gonna put that down too with the waking up at 1 a.m. and vacuuming. My kids are gonna be like, what are you doing? It's
Mommy's
okay. It's
crazy.
okay. Hey, I'm gonna clean the house. It's okay.
Okay, you have to go. Krystle has to go today. You have what, 10 minutes?
I don't know what time it is, but yeah, I gotta leave at 10 to
10,
11.
it's 10:20.
Yeah.
So I want to quickly touch on parts work because that
Yeah.
was the point of this. But so parts work is sort of the same as shadow work, but just kind of different. So parts work is where there are different. So, okay, you're walking along, somebody says something to you, or you're in a relationship and they disrespect you, and you get angry. Okay, you get angry, you feel all the things. Feeling all the things is the shadow. But then there is the part of you that needs to be healed with the shadow.
Okay.
And so what does that mean? So growing up, we are born as open beings. Everything's whole, everything's neutral. And then we go through something between the ages of like 0 to 12, I believe is where the subconscious mind is. Different people have different opinions, but between 0 and 12, let's say you are whole. And let's say at 3, it happens prior to this, but let's just say at 3, your parents argue and I don't know, at 3, can you react? I don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
You're
yeah.
you're like really upset and your dad says, stop crying. Okay. And that really hurt you in that moment. You got scared, you got frightened, you froze. In that moment, a part of you has now kind of fractioned off from your wholeness and has become kind of frozen in time, if you will. This can happen where now when somebody yells at you or is having an argument, you feel a certain way and you will now take that on for the rest of your life. So you become like it becomes, we say our personality is nothing other than parts of us that have developed and fractioned off and we've become a certain way. So and like, so this goes on as life goes on, trauma goes on, and we get these things that happen to us where parts of us learn how to react to certain situations. Dad leaves all the time, goes to work, I don't trust men, that's a part of you. Or mom gets drinks every day, well, now we don't respect women or whatever, or we become an alcoholic, that's a part of you that learned how to cope a certain way. So there's a million examples. I'm like stuttering on being able to come up with good ones.
No, those are good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That I can understand that. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so now let's say fast forward to now, you're in this relationship, you were disrespected. Let's say you're a female, you're in a relationship with a male, your boyfriend disrespects you or your husband or whatever, and it brings up this major fear and worry. And like you're like, well, I don't know what's going on. And like, you're unable to function. It causes anxiety and it causes you to like, have to like, you can't function. It's because that part of you with that shadow that needs to be integrated is being activated. And so the way to heal it is dealing with the shadow of that and dealing with the part of you that got broken off in time when you were 3, when your dad yelled at you or your dad yelled at mom and you got so scared you thought you were going to die. And now in the present tense, that part is being activated. And so we have to go back and do regression work and heal that part of you and integrate it. How can you let that part of you know it's safe? How you have to like talk to your inner child. It goes back to inner child work. You know, and this happens throughout our life.
Yeah.
Like
Which is a lot of it is inner child work.
A lot of it is.
Yeah.
You know, you can do energy work all you want. And I said this to you yesterday.
Yep.
But if you don't deal with your parts and your shadow work, you're bypassing a major part of healing. Energy work is beautiful. And I think it's very, very needed, but you can't have one without the other. You can't fix energy and not deal with your shadows or your parts because it won't fully integrate.
It's the same as like you can try and heal your body, but if you don't fix the energy behind it, it's not going to heal.
It's a wholesome approach.
It's like starts here.
Yep.
Mind, energy, like it's all interconnected.
Yeah.
Like inside out.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was having this conversation with the naturopaths at the clinic like a couple weeks ago, and they were saying, they're like, it's an inside out approach. Literally, they said that. And they were like, how do we say this in a way? We were trying to figure out like wording for the website. And it's like your cells get affected, your body parts get affected, like your organs, right? But if you deal with your organs and you don't deal with your emotions, it's not going to work. You're not going to be able to heal. So you have to like do your shadow work, do your inner child healing, do your parts work, deal with your organs on like a physical level, like deal with, regulate your nervous system, do energy healing. Like it's one, and it's all of it. Like you can't go to the gym and then eat McDonald's all day long. Like it doesn't work. Like you're not
doesn't work like that. No, doesn't work like that.
No. I need water after that. I was like spitting truths.
I love it.
Me too. Okay. What does it mean to have an empowered heart, Krystle?
Facing truth is very confronting and can be challenging to do. But ultimately, that's what frees you from it. And so that's what I'm walking through right now. That made me emotional.
Oh, Krystle.
Yeah. What does it mean for you to have an empowered heart?
Yeah, I mean, it's similar. I think it really boils down to self-trust and self-knowing and really self-trust. Having an empowered heart is like believing in everything, or not believing, believing, trusting in myself, regardless of what the mind says and what just being able to speak truth and trust myself. It's really, even if I lose people or lose relationships or whatever, like this has been a theme this whole year. It's like, I have to go by what my gut is telling me, regardless if it doesn't make any sense. Like this whole year has been a big, shiny mirror on this. It's like, this happened earlier this year with this harassment. Okay, but like maybe he didn't mean it. It doesn't matter. my gut is telling me this is not okay. It's like we have to, yeah, like we have to just really go with what our gut says and tell the mind to like eat it.
And
Because
trust it. Yeah. And
yeah,
trust it. Yeah. The more that we, yeah, I was just gonna say, the more that we learn to trust our intuition, the more that we understand how accurate it is,
Mhm.
and that it is literally our internal guidance,
Yeah,
you know?
amen.
And like the first initial feeling, not, you feel something and then you start to think it and overthink it and rethink it, and then you're trying to find the answer. It's like, what was your first initial feeling in the beginning?
Yeah.
And go with that.
Mhm. Yeah. And then it'll keep you out of trouble too. Like, and
Yeah.
but here's a spin on this. Here is a fun spin, and it really ties into today's topic.
Okay.
People often, I have this conversation with a friend of mine often. I'm like, I'm like, your first initial gut thought, your thought is the answer. And she's like, yeah, but like I have trauma. And I'm like, and then trauma,
Mm-hmm.
integrated trauma will confuse your intuition because
Mm,
in it like it can, because the mind can be wrapped up with the body so much in old stories that you're like, is that my gut or is that my trauma speaking? And so this is why shadow work and parts work is so important, to clear that out so that you can know what your gut is saying.
yeah, because there's also the aspect of, like, is it out of love or is it out of fear?
Yeah.
Like, that's a big one too, right? Because truth isn't necessarily, something to cause you to fear. It's very complicated
It
now
is
that I'm
complicated. It
trying
is.
to figure it all out.
It
Yeah.
is. I love this so much.
Me
And
too.
if you guys have any topics that you would like us to talk about, we would love to hear what you guys have to say. We would appreciate if you guys rated us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Is that what it's called? And YouTube, we would really appreciate it. And if you have anything to say, we would love to hear it. So until next time, see you later.
Bye.